And knowledge means to distinguish between you and Paramatma, between Atma and body and soul and super soul. Very good. So here we remember we discussed about the different levels of consciousness. Annamaya, Pranamaya. So what are the distinctions? Next verse, next one. Correct. Fifth verse. We'll go next one. Okay. We'll keep going to the next one. Alright. Vijay, Gopikesh. Next verse.
Tatrakshetam yacha yatricha
Yadvikarayatascha
yasayo yat prabhavascha
sachayo yat prabhavascha
tatsamasena mishrunu. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what its influences are.
So here what is Krishna talking about? Yeah, please speak in microphone.
He is describing about the field of activity and how it is constituted and how it changes and what are the changes and how it is produced and who that knower of the field of activity and how it influences.
So he's giving more details about the field activities. And here in this purport we talked about Prabhupada talks about the next verse it comes, okay. Okay, text number 5.
ऋषिभिर्बहुधा गीतम् छन्दोभिर्विविधैः पृथक् ब्रह्मसूत्रपदैश्चैव हेतुर्मद्भिर्विनिश्चिते. That knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of the activities is described by various sages in the various Vedic writings. It is specially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect.
So, what is Krishna saying here? Yeah, he is quoting authorities. Even though he is Supreme Personality Godhead, he is quoting the authorities. And he mentions Vedanta Sutra as there it's mentioned as cause and effect. So when you press the mustard seed, you get oil. Now what caused the oil to come out? What is the cause of the oil? Is it pressing? Or is it mustard? What is the cause? So this is what we describe in Vedanta Sutra. That the ultimate cause is Krishna. One time one devotee, young American boy, he became a devotee. And his parents got very worried because people said, no, he's joined Hare Krishna, he's become crazy. He's mentally not right, something wrong with him. So they sent him to a psychiatrist to get him tested, to see whether he would be proved crazy or proved something wrong, psychological problems. So they thought Hare Krishna, they brainwash people and they do so many horrible things. So he was sitting in the room waiting for the psychiatrist to come. The psychiatrist came in and saw that he was looking at a flower vase that was in the room. So the psychiatrist thought, let me start testing him. So I said, what are you looking at? And that devotee said, I'm looking at a flower vase. He says, do you hear any sounds in your head? And I said, what else are you seeing? Saying, this flower is so beautiful, that there must be an intelligent design behind it. And Krishna has made the flower so perfect. We scientists are not able to make anything like it. I went on describing the 5 material elements in chapter 13. And that psychiatrist was very amazed. He kept on asking more questions. And father is waiting outside, anxiety. What's my son? Is he going to prove he's mad or is he going to marry some? Please tell me, what is son? He's perfectly normal. In fact, I found out it is Hare Krishna temple. I want to go and see the temple. He's got so much knowledge. You should be proud of him. I heard this from Bhakti Swami again. He's saying his father almost fainted in ecstasy. My son is normal. There's nothing wrong with him. He thought that he's got serious problems. So that is the effect of when you get this knowledge from the Vedanta Sutra. It gives a complete knowledge, not just the seed and the oil. But who made the seed in the first place? Where does the seed come from? So the ultimate answer is everything comes from Krishna. Even though we might have immediate cause and effect. I will leave it in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada gives example of the scorpions coming out of the bag of rice. Remember that? What do you remember from that?
That no one kept the scorpions in the bag.
Yes.
As you explained before, it's like how did the scorpion basically get inside the bag first? From the outside person, what the Mayavadi person will say that the price of the bag is actually giving birth to a scorpion. So
the source of scorpions, baby scorpions, is the bag of rice. Very good.
So that's what it is, and
But
what the actual cause is basically the scorpion must have gone inside the rice bag and left the eggs or whatever it is need to be done.
So they can
inside,
hatch
they can hatch there because of the atmosphere which you get inside the rice bag.
So the cause is not the rice bag, but it is the mother scorpion that's laying the eggs. Similarly, so now we go to the next level. What does that demonstrate? So that analogy is given to prove what? That material nature is not the cause of life. Life comes from life. Life actually doesn't come from matter. Even though matter seems to give birth to life, but actually it's not matter. It is Paramatma, the Super Soul, or the Supreme Lord. He is the source of all creation. And Krishna said in the 10th chapter, Aham Sarvasya Prabho Mata Sarvam Pravartate. Everything comes from, everything emanates from me. Iti Matva, one who knows this. Bhajante Mam Bhutabhava Samanta. One who knows this, he is intelligent and he worships me with intelligence and faith. So, this is Krishna saying it himself. So, when a devotee sees anything, he sees Krishna behind, Krishna's energy behind. So, this realization of Krishna happens in various phases. So, what is the level of consciousness we have? Different levels of consciousness. What is the basic level of consciousness? Annamaya. What does Annamaya refer to? Consciousness of where is food. So that means I need to survive. To survive, I need food. So that's Annamaya. The next level is Pranamaya. Pranamaya means life, survival. Danger is coming, so I have to move this way. There's danger. And then Jnanamaya. So you've got Annamaya, Pranamaya, then Jnanamaya. What is Jnanamaya? How is it higher than the other two? Thinking, feeling and willing. The body and soul still hasn't come. Just thinking, feeling and willing. That is the stage of Jnanamaya. Become conscious of your surroundings. Yeah, that's right. Thinking, feeling, willing refers to mental, emotional, sensual. Yeah, sensual awareness. So that's all in the Jnanamaya. Then the next level is the Vijnanamaya. In Vijnanamaya, what do you understand? Kshetra and Kshetrakya, the distinction is now made. That's called Vijnanamaya, body and soul. One has knowledge of the soul. And the next level after that is Anandamaya. And what is that level called? That is a transcendental, completely transcendental. So Prabhupada says that transcendental to all the field of activities is the Supreme Lord, who is called Anandamaya. The Vedanta Sutra also describes Supreme Lord by saying Anandamaya Vyasa. The Supreme Person God is by nature full of joy. And to enjoy his transcendental bliss, he expands into Vijnanamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya and Annamaya. In the field activity, the living entity is considered to be the enjoyer, and different from him is the Anandamaya. That means the living entity decides to enjoy and dovetail himself with Anandamaya, then he becomes perfect. So because Krishna is Anandamaya, if we are following Krishna, if we are trying to satisfy Krishna, then we also become Anandamaya, though in a small quantity. Yeah.
So in these other types of consciousness, is there no Anand? Like someone can say that, I'm in this Annamaya stage. I get pleasure by eating nice food. So is there no happiness in these other stages like Anandmaya, Pranmaya?
Yes, there is happiness in all stages, but there is also suffering. It's not only happiness, there is also suffering. Though the degree of happiness is minute and it is temporary. Whereas in the Anandamaya platform, it's eternal and it's not dependent on other things. So for example, Annamaya, there is some happiness in eating, yes, but what happens when you're hungry and there is no food to eat? So that becomes a source of suffering. Or if you eat the wrong food and you fall sick, that is also called suffering. So it's not that the Annamaya platform is only happiness. There is some happiness at every stage. Because by nature we are Anandmaya Vyasa, we are Anandamaya. So that, but it is restricted, very limited.
We can say that at Anandmaya stage, we are at, this is a stage full of happiness.
Yes, that's complete
and it's
question.
eternal happiness.
Eternal happiness, transcendental happiness, not material happiness. Like happiness, there are different types like Jadananda, Brahmananda, Premananda, like that. Sevananda is higher than that. So like that, there is Ananda, is also different levels of Ananda is there. So Jadananda is there. These first three levels are Jadananda level, where one is just conscious of himself and his surroundings. So that's why the awareness increases through the different layers as you go through the layers. Because the living entities are covered. And the covering gradually, as it is removed, uncovered, the pure consciousness comes out. So Anandamaya means no covering. Covering is removed completely. Then one is in direct contact with Paramatma. Yeah, Prabhu.
How do we measure our level as to which stage we are in life? We don't, like for me, how do I know which stage? I still feel that I'm in the Annamaya stage or even lower than that. So how do I understand which stage?
Well, the fact that you're sitting here means you're a little better than that. It's good to be humble, but at the same time we have to be realistic. So one has to at least come to the Vijnanamaya platform. And we're progressing towards Anandamaya. This is not so detailed enough. For devotees to know our advancement, it's good to know more detail. Madhav Shatra Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivritti. So that we understand better. Because that's where the classification is more detailed. And we get an idea of where we are in the progress, how we're progressing. Here it's not so, it's very high level. It's too high level. We can't say we're Anandamaya, but we have glimpse of Anandamaya also. We are exactly. Exactly.
Very limited time.
Yes.
Then we forget everything.
Yeah.
Outside.
Yeah.
We again fall into the materialistic
Yeah, that's right. So then we get into that trap. That's where the problem is. So for us to remain on that platform is what our challenge is. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given the holy name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to stand in the holy name. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Vardhanam means increasing. Whereas Jadananda is always decreasing. The satisfaction decreases. Even eating you mentioned, Ruchika mentioned. Now the first morsel will be good, second will be good, third will be good. After 10, you don't want to eat anymore. And if you keep on eating, you're likely to get sick. Is that anandamaya? But eating prasadam, honoring Krishna prasad, not even eating. Honoring Krishna prasad. By the process of eating, of course. But honoring mood rather than enjoying mood. There is still happiness. When honoring prasad, there is happiness. But that is different from the materialistic person who's only trying to satisfy his senses. Though even though still with that mentality take prasad, still you get purified. So what is lacking for us is faith. Kanishta Madhyama Uttamadhikari Shraddha Anusari. According to level of faith. So our preaching means to increase the level of faith. That's why when you try to help others increase the faith, our faith increases. That's why preaching is the essence. Preaching is the essence. So everything we do, the aim is to somehow give this knowledge to others. And when he gives others, as Krishna says in the last chapter of Gita, that servant of mine who gives the knowledge to others is very dear to me. There's no one more dear to me than he, nor will there be one in the future. So Krishna has given a blank check. Write what you want on it. It's yours. Krishna gives everything to you then. According to the full degree of surrender, Krishna gives everything for the devotee, to facilitate the devotee service. Then you start reciprocating. Krishna directly reciprocates with you. And you feel the reciprocation. Then your faith increases. Then you will not have doubts whether I should do this or do that. So preaching essentially means increasing the faith of others by increasing our own faith. That's what everything is. Even devotee care ultimately is to remind devotees about the holy name. That's all it is really. Even though that may involve listening to their sad stories and listening to their struggles and their problems, but ultimately what are we going to say? The holy name is the only one. Naam bina kichu nahi, chauda bhavana bhaje. Other than the holy name, there is nothing in the 14 words. So what cure are you going to give, or what solution are you going to give? Ultimately is the holy name. But at the same time, because we are in a material body, we have to take necessary precautions. We have to go to the doctor, we have to take medicine, we have to take some treatment. But the goal is that I get better and engage my service. Not that I get better and enjoy sense gratification. That's not the goal. Goal is to keep body and soul together so that we can do more service. So on the path we are making progress. And Krishna guides us as Chaitya Guru is in the heart, Siksha Guru is outside, and Diksha Guru. We've got so many personalities who Krishna has sent to help us. So the real progress is how much we have faith in the holy name. That's the real progress. If we have faith in the holy name, then we are making progress. That's our yardstick. Right? Shimanipur, yeah, sure.
After that. Wait, after Shimanipur.
Okay.
Prabhuji, basically, Adau Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, that will come under which particular consciousness?
See, the Adau Shraddha, the moment you engage in devotional service, that's on a transcendental platform. Okay. Now, Vijnanamaya starts off with the transcendental platform, that's knowing that under body, spirit, soul. That is called Brahmabhuta platform. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma, na sochati na kamshati. See, one is firmly situated with Vijnanamaya, there will be no hankering, no lamentation. So, but we still have that. So therefore, in that sense, it is below Vijnanamaya. Your thinking, feeling, willing is there. So Jnanamaya is there. but there is not the full Anandamaya is not there. But at the same time, because we engage in devotional service, sadhu, sangha and bhajana kriya, we get glimpses of that Anandamaya platform.
So we keep dropping.
Yes. So that is one of the symptoms of anarthas, is that stops us from making progress. Remember we discussed the 6 types of anarthas. And so these are one of them is one is unsteady in the devotional service. One overcomes those 6 types of anarthas, one then becomes eligible to go to the next stage called nishtha, and becomes steady. One is not affected by these ups and downs. Or even if one is affected, one quickly recovers and comes back to the normal position. It's like Arjuna when he heard his 5 sons were killed, when he heard Abhimanyu was killed, he was very sad. But then he didn't remain that condition. Krishna was there, he preached to him and he brought him back to Krishna consciousness, back to Ananda platform. So we have these ups and downs. But these ups and downs become more steady as we remain steady in the devotional service. That's why we're saying, but for that we need mercy. It can't happen by our own effort. And to attract the mercy, the easiest way is to help in the preaching. That's why we insist on preaching. You go and share the knowledge with others. Make an attempt. Then all your anarthas become clear. Your faults, your weakness, your strengths. And Ruchika was saying today, it makes us chant more sincerely because I have to take shelter of the holy name. I can't do it without the mercy. I feel helpless. But that helpless doesn't make us hopeless. It makes us very strong. Makes us very Krishna conscious. We become very blissful. And Ruchika was saying, whole day I'm meditating on the shloka. And that's how you were able to. Then Paramatma gives realizations. And then it becomes exciting. Oh, Krishna is actually reciprocating me. I'm not a nobody. Krishna has some, in his heart there's some place for me. He considers me as someone worth talking to. Whereas you work for, which company do you work for? Yeah, how often do you talk to the CEO? There you go. Isn't it? Even if I was sitting, how often does a normal employee get a chance to speak to CEO? Very rare. But Krishna, the CEO of all CEOs, he is talking to you every minute if you want to. But how we are not listening? We are not listening. He's saying hello, he's saying, I'm busy, call me later. Krishna is waiting, come on. So this is a chance to take that leap of faith and get into the mercy zone. Yes? Yeah. I feel that actually. Actually do that. Yeah.
Prabhu, this is a question from our Townsend temple president. It is said that Krishna is expanded into Vijnanamaya, etc. What do they actually represent? In the sense, what is the Vijnanamaya expansion? Is it the expansion of the Lord? For example, is the Jnanamaya the Vedas? He wants a little bit more explanation on it.
Yeah. The question is, what is the Vijnanamaya expansion of? Is that right?
Sorry?
Can you rephrase the question for me?
I think he wants to know, he wants to say that is all Jnanamaya are the expansions of the Lord. We can say Jnanamaya is Vedas. So is this that's the expansion of the Lord. So what actually represents Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya? What are their actual forms, or how we can?
Yeah, all these are there in the Vedas actually. Annamaya, Jnanamaya, and Vijnanamaya. All these are in the Vedas. The Upanishads are more towards Vijnanamaya because they are transcendental. They are more on the transcendental side. Whereas the Vedas mainly deal with the 3 modes of material nature. Therefore, they mostly focus on Jnanamaya.
Is it said that Vijnana is basically application of Jnana? So it's whatever you'll have learned it during the. So Vedas will tell you, these are the procedure, and Jnana, what you said, Upanishads will tell you that how to apply them. Basically they tell you, Vacha Vegam. So you basically achieve the knowledge which you have acquired from Vedas, and you get to apply that.
Yeah, you can say it that way. There are different classifications. See, Gyan in one level means knowledge, Vigyan means realized knowledge at one level. But here it's a little different classification. The different kind of classification. The Gyanmaya means thinking, feeling, willing of your awareness of your surroundings. That is Jnanamaya. So it's not transcendental. Whereas Vijnanamaya is transcendental because it takes you beyond the body. So the animals, they can't come to the Vijnanamaya platform unless they're very rare devotees like Hanuman or Tulsi Maharani, plants. Great devotees, Garuda is a bird but is a great devotee. So then there are exceptions, but otherwise birds, animals, plants, they're at the most Annamaya, Pranamaya and Jnanamaya. That's about it. Whereas the Vedas are taking us in the Jnanamaya platform, but they're giving us knowledge how to enjoy this material world so that you don't bring you with the minimum of suffering. So if I try to enjoy without following the Vedas, what happens? I do be karma, I get suffering. The Vedas teach you how to neatly position yourself in the material world so you can get a maximum enjoyment, minimum suffering. There will be suffering, but it will be minimized. Because the Upanishads take you to the next level of Vijnanamaya, where it says, no, beyond this body there is soul, and beyond the soul is the super soul. So the Brahman realization is there in the Upanishads. And that Upanishads, among them, when it comes to Isha Upanishad, it talks specifically of the personality of Godhead. Purusha, Param Purusha. Whereas Upanishads mainly harp on the focus on the Brahman aspect, and to some extent Paramatma, and Isha Upanishad brings out the Bhagwan aspect. Complete understanding of Absolute Truth. That's why Prabhupada translated Isha Upanishad. He didn't do other Upanishads. Of course, Gita is also the Gita Upanishad. But otherwise, but you find references Prabhupada is given. Katha Upanishad, Shvetashvata Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad. He finds it gives quotations. Whereas Srimad Bhagavatam is completely Anandamaya. It doesn't bother even with Vijnanamaya. Straight goes to Anandamaya platform. Is Jagannath Gopal happy?
Yes, he says he's got the answer.
On that same point, it says here, to enjoy his transcendental bliss, he expands into Vijnanamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, and Annamaya. That's what I don't understand. How does expanding into Annamaya expand his transcendental bliss?
You see, the living entities are expansions of the Lord. So he expands himself in all the different species. Because it is described in the Vedas that when Krishna wanted to enjoy, he expanded himself. Rather than enjoy by himself, which he can. But he also likes variety. So that's why he expands himself on living entities, who are at different levels of consciousness. It's not that the Lord is limited to Annamaya and Pranamaya. He is not limited. But his expansions are. And so he enjoys relationship with them. For example, if there's a rock, Krishna sits on the rock, he feels pleasure. If he sits under a tree, he feels pleasure. A tree may not be in the Anandamaya platform. Though if Krishna sits on the tree, it's not an ordinary tree. It has to be special. But tree by itself is not at the Anandamaya platform. Tree body means it's Annamaya, Pranamaya, that's it. Maybe to some extent Jnanamaya. Because when you put a plant near a window, it goes towards the sun. So it does have some consciousness of thinking, feeling, willing, but it's very limited, restricted. Yes? So here, in the conclusion, last paragraph, it is mentioned here that the quotes of Brahma Sutra are very nicely arranged according to the cause and effect. Some of sutras and aphorisms are Na Vyad Ashrute Natma Shrute Paraktu Tatchune Tachute The first of all indicates the field of activity, the second indicates the living entity, and third indicates Supreme Lord. The Samam Bonam among all manifestations of various entities. So there is an immediate cause and there is a remote cause. The Jiva is the immediate cause of the field of activities. The body is growing because the Jiva is there. But the Jiva is by himself cannot cause the body to grow. It requires the Supreme Lord to be present as Paramatma. When both are present, then we understand the body grows. So the Supreme Lord Paramatma is the Samam Bonam among all the manifestations of various entities. He is the essence of everything. He is the ultimate cause. Okay. Kalamati, you are able to read next verse? Ready? 6 and 7. Text 6 and 7. Please go to my comment.
महाभूतान्यहङ्कारो
Mahabhutanyahangkaro
बुद्धिरव्यक्तमेव च
Buddhiravyaktameva cha
इन्द्रियाणि दशैकं च
Indriyani dasaikam cha
पञ्चचेन्द्रियगोचराः
Panchatendriya gocharaha
इच्छादेशसुखं दुःखम्
Ichchadesha sukham dukkham
सङ्गादज्ञेत नातु त्रिदिः
Sangatendreta pritihi
एतत्क्षेत्रं समासेन
Etam kshetram samasena
सविकारमुदोहृदम्
Avikaram navritam.
The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions.
So Krishna is describing the Kshetra in more detail in this verse, these two verses. So we'll read the purport. Then it will-
From all the authoritative statements of the great sages, the Vedic hymns and the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra, the components of this world can be understood as follows. First, there are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are the 5 great elements, Mahabhuta. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of nature. Then there are 5 senses for acquiring knowledge, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Then 5 working senses, voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. Then, above the senses, there is the mind, which is within, and which can be called the sense within. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses altogether. Then there are the 5 objects of the senses, smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Now the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activity. If one makes an analytical study of these 24 subjects, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness, and distress, which are interactions, representations of the 5 great elements in the gross body. The living symptoms, represented by consciousness and conviction, are the manifestation of the subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. These subtle elements are included within the field of activities.
Okay. So what are the 24 elements? Let's count them. 5 So earth, water, fire, air, ether, that's 5.
Can somebody use a microphone?
That's actually considered as pradhana. Pradhana is the unmanifested 3 modes. So that's unmanifested stage. That's the pradhana. You get 24? 24, correct. So everyone knows what the 24 are? Okay, what have we got? Let's see. Wait, let's help him now, rather than everyone answering.
Can someone use the microphones?
Yeah, use microphone, Shriman. Tell us what you got. And we'll tell you what's missing.
So we got the 5 gross elements,
Yes.
3 subtle elements, 5 senses, 5 working senses, and 5 objects of the 5 objects.
How much? What's the total coming
So
out?
24.
So, but wouldn't that be part of the 3 subtle mind, intelligence, and false ego?
Already covered it there.
So it's covered.
See what Prabhupada's done here, he didn't put a mind in the subtle elements. He's put it as part of the senses. That's why it's been 6 senses. Yes. The unmanifested, that's the 24. That's the pradhana.
But that's considered as one.
It's not a 3 mode, it's the pradhana, the source of the 3 modes. Where the 3 modes come? Pradhana. That's the covering. Yeah. So that makes it 24. Thank you. Prakriti is manifested from pradhana. Further expands. Then the prakriti again becomes 3 modes. So pradhana is the unmanifested matter from which the material energy is created. So all the 23 come from pradhana. Pradhana comes from Brahmajyoti. Yeah, Brahman. Pradhana. All of them ultimately come from there. All the material objects come from there. So material nature comes from there. Pradhana. The Bhagavatam is described in more detail. The process of creation. See Pradhana in action. So this is what Sankhya is all about. Sankhya is to analyze these 24 elements. That's called Sankhya philosophy. So they analyze some 24 elements and they show that you are not any of these. I'm not body, I'm not eyes, I'm not nose, I'm not ears, I'm not leg, I'm not hands, I'm not a tongue. So then you realize, who are you? You are Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. That is the Vijnanamaya platform. To come to the Vijnanamaya platform, we have to know what the material elements are and the fact that we are not the material elements. We are not the body, we are not matter. That is the proper understanding. Is that okay? But then if you know Krishna, you know everything. Krishna is the source of all of this, ultimately.
So earlier we were saying about the subtle elements in which mind, intelligence, false ego comes. But here Prabhupada is categorizing mind with the senses.
Yeah. So mind is considered one of the senses. In 15th chapter of Krishna says that Manasasthani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. So mind is considered like a sense. It is a matter of classification. It doesn't change anything. It's how we classify things. Ultimately the aggregate is 24. Gross and subtle body is a different classification. When you classify as gross and subtle body, that time mind comes under subtle body. Because it can't be perceived by any of the senses. So it's considered like in a subtle body. Like mind, intelligence and false ego, you can't perceive with the senses. But if somebody is acting out of false ego, you can understand this is false ego. You can see it. You can understand it, but you can't see it. You can't touch it. You can't smell it. You can't taste it. They can't hear it. That's the attitude that comes out in the false ego. So when intelligent works, someone does something very intelligent. So, wow, that's intelligent. That must be pretty clever. How do you do that? So there is intelligence there, but it's subtle. Same with the mind also. You're sitting here, your mind might go into Chennai. So you can feel the effect of the mind, but you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. So subtle elements are like that. So that's another classification. Here the classification is different. You're talking about here's about the senses and the sense objects and the working senses, the knowledge acquiring senses. So eyes, ears, nose, there are knowledge acquiring senses. There's tongue, genitals, all these are the what you call the voice, that's mentioned there. These are all the legs and hands, they're all the working senses, active senses. Yeah.
All these elements is because they want us to understand that we are none of these things.
Correct, and also Kshetra is made up of these things.
Kshetra is made up of these things.
This is the constitution of Kshetra. So Krishna is giving more detailed understanding of Kshetra. So the lies of Kshetra and discover that we are not a Kshetra. That's what modern science also doing. They are analyzing the Kshetra. And that's the Prabhupada saying on lecture that the science is very much interested and focused on the body. It's all focused on the body, like Kshetra only. But Kshetra kya is there, they don't know. So you are saying when big professor comes to me and says, Swamiji, when body is dead, everything is finished. They can't see beyond matter. So therefore they can't understand not the body. That's where they get stuck. Okay. Alright, we continue reading then. Yeah, probably use the microphone.
It's further said in the same paragraph, there is a desire, hatred, happiness and distress, which are interaction representing of the 5 great elements of cross-study. And how is that relationship with desire? If you take one example like eyes or say for instance tongue.
Yeah.
Someone may desire something, at the same time someone may dislike it.
Yeah, that's right. That's why it says happiness and distress comes from that. So when the senses make contact with the objects of senses, there's this kind of reaction. The interaction causes happiness or distress. It causes all these things mentioned here: desire, hatred. That's why the interaction of the objects with the sense objects. So then the modes come into play then. Mode of goodness, there's suffering in the beginning, happiness in the end. Mode of passion, happiness in the beginning, distress in the end. Mode of ignorance, distress in the beginning, distress in the end. And that distress is mistaken for happiness. And happiness is mistaken for distress. There was one photo of Prabhupada in his passport. So people asked, a devotee asked Prabhupada, you look so sad here in this photo, what's wrong? What did Prabhupada say? That is my moment of my ecstasy. So even that mode of ignorance is in ecstasy, I'm thinking it's sad. And some reporter also asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, why is it you never smile? You're always so grave. And I said, because Krishna is so great. And his presence becomes grave. And then he gave a big smile. But then the devotee also smiles. But in any case, he doesn't forget Krishna. Whether it's serious or he's laughing, he's always remembering Krishna. That's the point, not whether you're happy or not. So happiness, distress, they're all interactions of the sense of the sense objects and the modes interacting with them. So you get a big khichdi there. So Asant, we want to read the next part of purpose? You had a question or something?
Goodness, initially there is suffering.
The austerities that looks like suffering. Yeah.
Getting up early in the morning.
Yeah,
It looks like.
yeah, taking bath is austerity. But when you take bath, you feel good. Yeah, getting out of bed is hard, but when you do, you feel good.
The five great elements are the gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, technically called materialistic conception or tamasa buddhi, intelligence in ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of the three modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called pradhana. One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail along with their interactions should study the philosophy in more detail. In Bhagwat Gita, the summary only is given. The body is the representation of all these factors, and there are changes of the body, which are 6 in numbers. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and at the last stage it vanishes. Therefore, the field is non-permanent material thing. Therefore, the Kshetriya, the knower of the field, its proprietor, is different.
Okay, Prasanto, what is Prabhupada saying here in this part?
Highlight is, the changes that takes place in the field. The 6 stages is trying to explain, like it is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproduct, it decays and then vanishes. And contrast that with the Kshetriya, the knower of the field, that is not temporary, it's permanent. That's what the difference is talking about.
बघू आत्ता जरा बिझी आहे थोडा फोन करा चालू तू
So these are the so science is battling with the classification living and non-living. What is living, what is non-living? At the higher levels of consciousness it's very obvious. When it comes to virus and bacteria and all that, they're very confused. Are they living or are they dead? When are they living, when are they dead? But here it gives very clear indication. To classify something as living, it has to satisfy the 6 conditions, 6 stages of life. That is living. But that is happening because, not because the body changes, but because of the soul present in the body and super soul along with it. Independently they can't do anything. Okay. Yeah, please.
So Prabhu, I'm just trying to understand why does a devotee need to know about all these material elements from devotional service point of view? Is it because we are not able to surrender right away
Yeah,
to Krishna?
that's right. So we have to be, our intellect has to be satisfied as well.
Mind keeps giving reasons all
Doubts,
the time.
it raises all the doubts. So you can answer the doubts by having this knowledge. And also if others raise doubts, then you can answer them. So everybody then is aware of these things. So that's where the next section 8 to 12 is all about knowledge. Yeah.
Prabhu, could you just explain Tamas Buddhi or that particular paragraph?
Yeah.
5. It's quite confusing over there. Just I'm confused.
Tamasa Buddhi.
The 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, technically called the materialistic conception of Tamas Buddhi.
So because of the false ego, one gets into the materialistic conception of life. That's why it's called Tamasa Buddhi. What is the opposite of false ego? Yeah, true ego. What is true ego? Swarup, very good. It's Swarup. It's our true identity. And what is our Swarup? Yeah. Krishna Nityadas, the eternal servant of Krishna. So that is transcendental intelligence, Divya Gyan, transcendental knowledge. But to think that I am the body based on false ego, that is a materialistic conception called tamasa buddhi, which is present in all the plants, animals, and the lower species of life. And among human beings who are not Krishna conscious, who can't make distinction between body and soul, who are on the Jnanamaya and lower platforms. So anyone who is on that lower platform, they are in the tamasa buddhi. Is that okay?
So, because you are made of the 5 gross elements, so it's connected.
We identify with that. Identification of the body is false ego. That means I am Indian, Australian, South Indian, North Indian. So many different permutation combinations we have. All the. That's why Narada Muni says, Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam. One has to get free from all this upadhis, designations, all based on false ego. Is there anything? Question?
Prabhu, every individual has all these 24 elements, but is it that but still every individual is different? So can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, see,
how with this nature and how like some people have attitude, some people have anger more, or some are calm, and some are more in mode of ignorance, some are passionate, some are so. Just can you explain this?
Yeah. So that's where the interaction comes in, the interaction between the sense and the sense objects. So that is based on a level of consciousness. If consciousness is on the Annamaya, Pranamaya level, it is mode of ignorance. In Jnanamaya level, it gets a little bit more of passion comes in there. But still passion, ignorance only. So when one starts coming out to the Vijnanamaya platform, one reaches out to the mode of goodness. and Prabhupada says the mode of goodness is a springboard for reaching the Krishna consciousness, transcendental platform. From there one can come to Krishna consciousness. So the default mode for a devotee is mode of goodness. So the one who is struggling with the senses and the mind, obviously they are in the lower stages, Jnanamaya and below that. And in that interaction, the 3 modes of material nature are there. The 3 modes of material nature will be there until you go to Anandamaya platform anyway. Even if the Jnanamaya is not perfect. The attack of the modes will be there, but one will be able to deal with them better in the Vijnanamaya platform than on the Jnanamaya platform. Jnanamaya platform is struggling only. Manasasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Karshati means struggles. Daiveshi gunamaya maumaya duratyaya. Duratyaya means again formidable, can't cross. So the surrendering comes in one goes to Anandamaya platform. When you surrender, you come to the Anandamaya platform. But as long as in the bodily concept of life, this is a struggle. This is an incompatible situation. Because we have a nature spiritual, but we are trying to exploit matter and enjoy matter. So therefore there is a struggle. That's an incompatible situation. Compatible situation is Anandamaya platform. Anandamaya platform is meant to be there. To be healthy is normal, to be sick is abnormal. Can I answer your question?
Hello.
Kind of, sorry Martin, just we'll finish with her question. Take the microphone. Yeah. Oh, her question, okay, alright. Let's talk of war here. Yeah, I think you both want to talk to each other, isn't it? Alright, you make a comment first what you want to say, and
no, what I'm trying to understand is, as Prabhupada said that there are 8.4 million species,
yes.
And in that he was categorizing that human form is not one in that, it's 4 lakh species.
Correct.
So are those 4 lakh types,
levels of consciousness.
are the different type of levels?
Yeah, they are levels of consciousness.
Or that's the desires.
That's the
like desires. Yeah.
Desires. Yeah, levels of desires, desires are also based on level of consciousness, right? For example, for a pig, stool is highly desirable. Whereas for higher beings, it's not desirable. So it depends on level of consciousness.
So is what she's asking that there are why different
people are thinking different ways. So is that like that because of that?
Because desires, yeah, that's right. Because desires. Our desires influenced by the modes of material nature.
Level of consciousness, depending on level of consciousness, the nature of that individual is
forced to act in that way.
yeah, forced to act.
Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa ahankar vigunatma kartamati manyata. He thinks he's a doer, but actually he's all capable modes of nature. So our freedom of free will is based on being able to make a choice. Whether you want to be under the shelter of Krishna, internal energy or external energy. Once you come under external energy, then the three modes take over.
So here it says like all this is based around like three modes of nature, like depending upon three modes of nature. So then three modes of nature takes the higher role and then the other elements.
Yeah, because the modes of nature will then control. Gune karmani sarvasa. Yeah, please, sure.
This stanza which Shivani Prabhu was talking about is a bit confusing, so I was just reading it. It says, the last part, it says, this further represents the unmanifested stage of the three modes of material nature. So it's actually saying that the false ego represents the unmanifested stage of the three modes, or the false ego represents the pradhana. So my understanding is the false ego, because the false ego is there, that's why all these gross elements have to be created, so that the living entity gets the facility to enjoy.
Yeah.
So the false ego represents the pradhana, which becomes the source for creating these elements.
Correct.
It's the tamasa buddhi that represents the unmanifested state.
Tamasa buddhi is the same as false ego.
No, it's the primal stage of the false ego.
Okay. Primal stage of the false ego.
Yeah.
That is tamasa buddhi, and that represents
False ego experience.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the reason why all these material elements are created. That's the kind of source of creating these.
Yeah. So the material elements are created like that. Very good point. They are created from the subtle to the gross. They are created from the subtle to the gross. So the false ego is the subtlest form of the material elements. So pradhan is the source. It's like a sink or reservoir from which everything comes. You draw from the reservoir. And when the body is annihilated, it goes back into the pradhana. And ultimately the pradhana also goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. He is the ultimate consumer. He consumes the whole thing and he gives it out as well. So the entire thing rests on Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu breathes out, universe is manifest from the pradhana. And the universe, he again expands, covers Vishnu. Again, from him, from the stem of the lotus, so many planets are there. Like that. And the jivas in the body of Mahavishnu, they come out. And they start becoming active again. They were inactive in the body of Mahavishnu. In the 100 years, the incoming breath. 100 days of Brahma, that duration, they are staying in the dormant state. 100 days of Brahma breathes out, again get manifested. So like that, this continues. Like a cycle. In a cyclical fashion. It's a cycle. Yes,
It's I got anyway,
question.
So what's the Mahatattva then? Is that all of
The
this?
sum total. The sum total. The sum total of the material creation is the Mahatattva.
So does that include all 24 elements?
Yes, all including that. Because that's where the Mahatattva is like a cloud. And the cloud and how it covers the sun. It doesn't cover the sun, it covers our vision of the sun, but still it covers the sun. So that's why the material world is dark, because the Mahatattva covering. And from the Mahatattva covering, all these things are coming out.
Sorry, Prabhu, can you explain that?
Sorry, so the Mahatattva is not the material world, it's the cloud that covers it.
Yeah, but that cloud, from that cloud, Mahatattva, everything else
The
is
material
constituted in
world.
that. Yeah, it gets manifested from the subtle to the gross. So when the creation takes place, the false ego comes first, then intelligence, then mind, and all other elements come out. Then ether, from the most subtle, ether, then air, then fire, then water, then earth.
So when Mahavishnu manifests the material world, the very first thing he manifests is the Mahatattva, and from that everything emanates?
Mahatattva is already there, but the glance of Mahavishnu is what activates it. His glances, he has to glance. That's the cause, if you like. And glance is personified by Shambhu. Then he actually gets busy. So the glance of Mahavishnu is Shambhu, and Shambhu is the one who is the active principle who makes this all happen. And he also has help of Parvati, material nature, mother nature, Prakriti. So she helps him. And together they make all these manifestations, become available. And the jivas that are stuck in the body of Mahavishnu, they come out and they are given a suitable body according to their level of consciousness, according to their desires, according to their karma. They are placed in certain bodies, which are made up of these elements again.
So, because Mahavishnu glances at the Mahatattva, he said that it's not that the Mahatattva appears, it's already there. Is the Mahatattva eternal then?
Yes, it is eternal, but it is changing. It's always there, but it's changing. It's not destroyed at some point in time and nothing exists.
It's eternal in the sense that a jail always has to exist.
Exactly. It always exists. Because there will always some living entities who will disobey the order of the Lord. So they have to have some place like a jail. So how it is manifested, when it is manifested, when it's unmanifested, that changes. So that requires superintendence. Maya dakshina prakriti suedesa charachara. Etana ne kaunte jagat viparivartana. Maya adhyakshina, under my superintendence. So Krishna is still in control. But the Mayavadis don't read that verse. They think that Krishna also is under the influence of Maya. He says clearly, Maya adhyakshina. Adhyaksha means superintendent. Maya means me. Under my superintendence. The material nature is producing all these bodies. Achara, achara, moving and non-moving bodies are being produced by me, under my superintendence. Karmana daiva netrena. Based on the karma, the daiva netrena, under the glance of the demigods, the living entities are manifest.
Prabhu, still Jagannath Gopal Das has got this question. It says, Pradhana gives rise to the false ego, etc. He's still confused about it. So he's asking whether the Pradhana actually gives rise to the false ego.
Yes, all the material elements come from Pradhana. The false ego is the junction between the matter and spirit. That's another way of describing it. The junction. Because that's what identifies us with matter. Now if you realize you're not the body, which is Vijnana mind, then one crosses over to the transcendental side. One is not on the material side anymore. But as long as one identifies with the body, the false ego is required. Because without false ego, you cannot identify with the body. In order to facilitate our identifying with the body, false ego is necessary. So it's a link or a junction between body and soul. Yes? Response back. How much the lag?
Lag is very less, Prabhu. I'm actually transmitting with the full speed today.
Oh, full speed.
Yeah, 200, like a good quality on it, 200 kilobytes, but there is a bit of a lag, like maybe 15 seconds or something.
Yes.
So just to clarify, even the pradhana is manifested from the Mahatattva?
Now, this Mahatattva and Pradhana are used interchangeably. Sometimes you find that Pradhana is Mahatattva is also called Pradhana. So, yeah, I don't know, I have to look for a technical definition, but here Prabhupada gives that unmanifested modes of material nature are called Pradhana. But sometimes I have seen in the Bhagavatam that even the whole material manifestation is also called Pradhana. So sometimes they use interchangeably, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think I can say, oh, Pradhana comes from Mahatattva. It's not like that. Pradhana is not something else apart separate from Mahatattva. It's not. It is a sink, reservoir of everything else. All the other 24 elements come from there. Right? So, to be more accurately, it's the Mahatattva that source everything. But sometimes the Pradhana is also called, because Pradhana again is the modes of the unmanifested modes of material nature. So the modes of material nature are called Pradhan. Sometimes the whole thing is called Pradhan. I have seen it described in both ways. But technically speaking, Mahatattva is the source of all the material energy. That's technically correct. Though sometimes Pradhan is also used like that.
So if Pradhan is taken to be the material modes, then it comes from the Mahatattva.
That's right, yeah, that's right. Though material modes are the basis of all activities, in that sense, it gives it a much higher, it's at a much higher level. Classification, and the classification is much higher in the classification. So Mahatattva is considered the ultimate end all and be all for material energy, for matter, for material world. I think it sounds like it's overhead transmission. I can see the look on the face. We don't need to know all this. We don't want to know the 24 elements. We're not the 24 elements. You are a Swarupa. That's it. Jai Hare Krishna. Much easier. Now these are technical things. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained all this also to only selected people, not to the whole world. He preached this to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and he talked to them, he brought out his points. But not on the streets of Nadia, in discussions. So for most of us, we don't need to know. Not that I am a great knower, but in little bit. If you read Teaching Lord Chaitanya, it's described there. Yes, bro?
Just a couple extra useful points. On top of the 24 elements, if you want to add in a couple extra, the 25th element is the soul, and the 26th element is the Paramatma.
Yeah, that's right. So the classification has got 25, 26, 25. That's why Sankhya philosophy brings you to the soul, platform the soul. And real Sankhya is taught by Lord Kapila in the Bhagavatam, takes you to the super soul aspect. So there are two knowers of the field that we described earlier, Kshetragya and Purusha. So that's another classification. If you go by that one, it becomes 26. The material elements are 24.
So we also said that Pradhan basically comes from Brahma Jyoti. So if we look at it from that point of view, then Mahatattva basically supersedes that.
Yeah, because Pradhan specifically, technically referred to as the unmanifested three modes of material nature. Three modes that are not manifest. That's Pradhan. That's the cause of all the activities in the material plane. In the Kshetra. The Kshetra acts in the Kshetra based on the three modes which are based on Pradhana. In that sense you can say Pradhana is coming from the Mahatattva. The Mahatattva is the sum total of all material creation. I'm giving simple definitions. If you go for technical, complicated definitions, you can have so many. And it will be hard to even remember them. But I'm just giving basic, simple one, which you can understand. At least you can explain what these terms mean, and you have some idea. And as Jitendra said, the most important point to learn here is you're not any of these different volumes. That's transcendental to this.
And the Mahatattva comes from Brahman, correct?
Yeah, ultimately it comes from Brahman. And Brahman comes from Krishna's effulgence. So that's why when the Upanishads are glorifying the Brahman and they're describing the Brahman, Brahman Satya, sometimes the people misidentify the Brahman and think I am also Brahman, I am Brahmasmi. Therefore I am Paramatma, I am the Super Soul. That's where the confusion comes. Okay. Push it back. Push it back.
Back.
No, towards your cheek, towards your ear. Towards your ear. Yeah.
You're okay? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, text number 8. What's next?
It's 8 to 12, Prabhu. So.
You can do 8 and 8 to 9 if you want to clear this evening.
Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantir arjavam acharyopasanam saucham shantiryam atma vinirgraha
Indriyarteshu vairagyam ahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukha doshanu darshanam.
Asakri anavisvanga putradara grihadisu nityam cha samachittam istanisto papatisu
Mai chananya yogena bhaktiravyapicharini vivikta desha sevatvam amaraktirjanas aratirjana samsadi
Adhyatma jnana nityatvam Tattva jnanartha darshanam Etas jnanam iti proktam Ajnanam yat atonyatha
Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the object of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evil of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and the rest, even-mindedness, amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All this I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance.
Arjuna asked, what is knowledge and object of knowledge? There you go, this is it. All clear? The Prabhupada goes on to explain each of these objects of knowledge, knowledge and object of knowledge. We'll go with purport.
This process of knowledge is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent men as being the interaction of the field of activity. But actually this is the real process of knowledge. If one accepts this process, then the possibility of approaching the absolute truth exists. This is not the interaction of the 24 elements as described before. This is actually the means to get out of the entanglement of those elements. The embodied soul is entrapped by the body, which is causing made of 24 elements, and the process of knowledge as described here is the means to get out of it. Of all the descriptions of the process of knowledge, the most important point is described in the first line of the 11th verse. Mayi Channaya Yogena Bhakti Avyabhi Charini. The process of knowledge terminates in unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. So if one does not approach or is not able to approach the transcendental service of the Lord, then the other 19 items are of no practical value, particular value. But if one takes to devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, the other 19 items automatically develop within him. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yash Yashati Bhakti Bhagavati Achinchana Sadvair Gunais Tatra Samaste Suraha. All the good qualities of knowledge develop in one who has attained the stage of devotional service. The principle of accepting a spiritual master, as mentioned in the 8th verse, is essential. Even for one who takes to devotional service, it is most important. Transcendental life begins when one accepts a bona fide spiritual master. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna clearly states here that this process of knowledge is the actual path. Anything speculated beyond this is nonsense.
So what is Prabhupada saying in this part of the purport?
As we were saying before, Prabhu, though we are not able to understand all those things, the best way to understand is to do the devotional service in full Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
So that is more than enough. From understanding all this is just chant and accept a spiritual master and do full devotional service to Krishna. That will fulfill all the...
Yes. And there is no need to speculate. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed in the example of the Brahmana in the Srirangam temple. He was illiterate. But he was reading Bhagavad Gita and not pronouncing them properly.
Okay.
But then he found that he was the one who really understood the Gita. Because he could see the source of who was behind all this. If you analyze the 24 elements and get lost in the 24 elements and don't come to the source of all these 24 elements, where do they come from? Paramatma is not there, then everything is wasted. So that is the actual path. So spiritual transcendental life begins when one accepts a bona fide spiritual master. The Supreme Personality called Sri Krishna clearly states here that this personality is the actual path. So under the guidance of Guru, with the blessings of Guru, one understands these topics, otherwise one cannot even understand. In fact, there's a risk that one get caught in these topics and get enamored by them and forget the real object of knowledge. What's the real object of knowledge? Krishna, yes. That's clear. Understand who is Krishna. So, Vedeshta Sarve, Hamaya Ved, 15th chapter Krishna says. The object ultimately understand Krishna, not the 24 elements. Though 24 elements look very interesting and look very cool, but they are not the goal. Okay, there are no further comments, so we read the next paragraph. Yeah, with microphone.
So in the beginning he says this process of knowledge is not an interaction of the 24 elements we discussed before. Some
Yes.
people misunderstand.
Yes.
It's rather a means to get out of that entanglement.
Correct. Very good point. Yes, that's why the knowledge is given, so we can free ourselves from this. If you're stuck in these 24 elements, it's very difficult. And atheists, they say that this is nothing but an interaction of the modes of material nature. Life comes from chemicals. The body is nothing but change of chemicals, and we are this body. They don't accept the presence of the soul. So that is nonsense, that is ignorance.
As for the knowledge outlined here, the items may be analyzed as follows. Humility means that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. The material conception of life makes us very eager to receive honor from others. But from the point of view of a man in perfect knowledge, who knows that he is not this body, anything, honor or dishonor pertaining to this body is useless. One should not be hankering after this material reception. People are very anxious to be famous for their religion, and consequently sometimes it is found that without understanding the principle of religion, one enters into some group which is not actually following religious principles and then wants to advertise himself as a religious mentor. As for actual advancement in spiritual science, one should have a taste to see how far he is progressing. He can judge by these items.
So what is Prabhupada talking about different religions?
Sometimes in the name of religion people want to just show off their knowledge, but he's saying that the actual knowledge is realization of actual knowledge is actually humility, where which means that you should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others.
Correct. So one is still in the bodily platform of life. Because one is still thinking honor and dishonor is very important. Whereas the quality definition of knowledge is humility means to not be affected by these things. So that's the purpose is one should have a test to see how far he is progressing. He can judge by these items. How much of those qualities, how many of those qualities we have acquired and how much of it we acquired. That's the real test. If a process of religion is making us violent and fanatic, then we are not acquired as qualities. That is actually a religion. It amounts to a religion. And that's the Prabhupada exposing here the fake or the false religions that are floating around. And people are advertising themselves as gurus, as spiritual mentors, when they don't know the real religion. Real dharma is dharma to sakshat bhagavad pranitam. It comes from the Lord himself. So unless that is clear, one becomes irreligious. So Prabhupada said this is material deception. They are cheating themselves and cheating others. Okay. Go to the next paragraph. Okay.
In the last slide, it is written that as for actual advancement in physical science, one should have a test to see how far he is progressing. He can judge by these items. So that means they should have all these qualities.
Yeah.
As a result of.
Yes, that's the Bhagavad Gita. We discussed this morning. So hara bhakta se kota madhana. But non-devotees, non-devotee Lord has no good qualities. Whereas the devotee has got all the good qualities of all the demigods. Samasate Sura. Sura means the demigods. The sum total of the demigods' good qualities are present in the devotee. That's why the devotee is a higher position than the demigods. So Hanuman is in a higher position than Indra, Chandra, Vayu and all that. Nadamun is in a higher position because they are all devotees. They manifest all the good qualities.
think that microphone is giving a little trouble.
Moved out.
Yeah, just take it out and use another one. Just turn it off.
Okay.
Yeah. It's at the back.
Okay.
Maybe you can take it off as well. And just use one of those.
Yeah, so that is false and true religion. Prabhupada makes a distinction. If it's based on these items of knowledge, that's true religion. If it's not, then it's ignorance, irreligion. Even though people may be called religious or advertise themselves as religious, but they are not teaching according to these principles, then it is ignorance. So that's a test. That's why when Prabhupada asked to comment on different religions, he said all religions are good, provided followers are good. So even if I call myself a Christian, but thou shalt not kill, we don't follow that injunction, then it's a religion. What we're following is not Christianity, but there's being promoted as Christianity. And there's Prabhupada says they maintain slaughterhouses, they kill so many animals. That is actually not religion. That's not really teaching Christianity anyway. So that is religion. See, even Hinduism also it happens. And there are so many Hindus, they kill goats and they offer goat in sacrifice. This seems very religious, but actually it is a religion. Because they don't understand how to do this properly. They haven't understood this principle. Happens to every religion. There are the real followers and there are the pseudo followers. And they are doing that for personal aggrandizement, personal glorification. So we can judge by these items, obviously. He can judge by these items. So when people ask Prabhupada, what do you think of this person? Prabhupada said, what is his philosophy? What is he teaching? Is it according to this knowledge? Yes. If it's not, that is a yardstick. Right? Yeah. Yeah, one has to understand principle of religion. And that principle is based on these items.
Non-violence is generally taken to mean not killing or destroying the body, but actually non-violence means not to put others into distress. People in general are trapped by ignorance in the material concept of life and they perpetually suffer material pains. So unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge to the people so that they may become enlightened and leave this material entanglement. That is non-violence.
What is the real definition of non-violence?
Not putting others into distress.
Yes. Okay.
Giving proper knowledge, spiritual knowledge.
Yes, that's a deeper understanding, right? In other words, not giving Krishna consciousness to others is violence. So unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. So preaching is not even an option here. He's saying you have to do it. Otherwise you're committing violence. I was waiting to 13th chapter to say that. So we take violence means don't put anyone in difficulty or don't kill anyone, you're non-violent. That's not all. Especially our family members, our children, we should give them Krishna consciousness as parents. If we don't do that, we're committing violence. That's why Prabhupada called his schools as the slaughterhouses. We send them to slaughterhouse, they get slaughtered there. We don't give them spiritual knowledge. And what are we doing for our children? We're just preparing them to take birth in the lower species of life. That's not a very good education.
I was remembering the Ishopanishad.
Ishopanishad shloka, killer of the soul. Yeah. So is it linked with this one? Yes, that's true. Very true. Very much linked. Yeah. Atmahan, killer of the soul. And if we do it to ourselves, if we got human birth, we're not using it properly, We are killers of the soul. It's our own self first before you talk of others. If you're not giving ourselves Krishna consciousness, then we are killing the soul. Because the soul has got birth in human body after so many lifetimes. Instead of taking advantage of that, we are now wasting it away in sense enjoyment. That's a great killer. And that person, the second chapter is called Kripana. Kripana or miser. Karpanya dosha. Those of you are teaching second chapter, you should know that. And what is the opposite of Kripana? Ramana, yes. He is very liberal because he is very generous, because he is making good use of this human form, this asset of human birth, making good use of it. But the Kripana is wastes it away, hides it. Alright, we go to next. Yeah,
So this is clear. Krishna says here that we suppose we don't impart true knowledge of Krishna. That means we are teaching non-violence. Now, it's very difficult to convince people who are not from a devotee background or from the outside material world. They question, this is not practical because we have to send the children to the school, otherwise how are they going to provide when they grow up and all these things. It's actually extremely difficult to convince people. Like for us also, we've come to understand these at a later stage. So now the question is how do we put this into into their mind and practice? How do we convince them that this is the most important thing? And the children need to be educated into this rather than them concentrating on the practical mundane education.
Good question. This sounds like a very tall order. It's a big ask. But you see, the best example for us is always our own examples, our examples of other devotees. We have to set a good example first. And then yes, if your child goes to a mundane school or a non-devotee school, still one has good education at home. One makes sure you bring the children to the temple every week, give them exposure to devotional service, to other devotee kids, other role models, so that the only role model they see not once in the school, but there are also devotee role models. Then they feel more accepted and they understand they're part of something much higher. To follow lower principle is easy, but take a higher principle is not easy. So also the person receiving the knowledge should have some intelligence. Prabhupada says some people learn by hearing, some people learn by seeing. Yeah. Vachavegam. So some people learn by hearing. They hear that something is wrong, they stay away from that. But if they are not intelligent, then they experience it, and then they learn it. But third class means after hearing, after seeing, still we continue to make the same mistake. That is unintelligent. Janiya Shunya Vishakhaina. And knowingly taken place, Radha Krishna na bhujiya. Manusya janma paya Radha Krishna na bhujiya. Janiya Shunya Vishakhaina. Having got a human birth, if I don't worship Radha and Krishna, then I am knowingly taking poison. Golokara Prematham, Harinama Sankirtan. It has come from Golok Vrindavan, holy name Krishna. Golokara Prematham, Harinama Sankirtan. That is the wealth of Golok Vrindavan. And that's come into the material world. That which is the highest in Golok Vrindavan has come to the material world. So we have got access to the highest. The one who is intelligent, when he hears that, thinks, wow, I should take that up. This is a good offer. And Lord Chaitanya made it so easy to access him. And Prabhupada says that we can get the mercy of the holy name, provided we don't commit offenses. So what blocks us is the offenses to the holy name, offense to devotees. And because that, the holy name will not be revealed. Actually, I want to do a seminar on this. I'm hearing Mahatma Prabhu's seminar on this. The title is Who Are You Offending? He doesn't say Are You Offending? He says Who Are You Offending? Let's make a list here. That means it's given that we are offending. So who are you offending? It's a 7-part series. I'd like to do that with all the leaders. We can play that lecture. It usually goes for an hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour. And we can discuss it for half an hour at least. I really want to do 7 series. Let's see how. Hope I get the cooperation of the leaders. We can even do it on Skype if needed during the week or something. Somewhere we have to fit that in. I realize that because Lord Chaitanya says, one who commits offense to my devotees and chants my name, he is actually throwing red hot coal on my body. That chanting, our chanting to him is like throwing coal on his body. Very serious. So if you don't have this understanding properly, not properly guided, then it's very difficult. So I just thought it would be very nice. When I heard that, I was shocked. We were chanting, mind you, or we were committing offences. And those offences are not something light or something easy. See, the beginning is different. When you don't know anything, we just come and say, "Ah, so nice, devotees are nice, temple is nice, everything is nice, everyone is nice." Then there's no offense that stage. When you chant it, immediately you get attracted. But later on, that attraction seems to decrease rather than increase. So every year, our enthusiasm for devotional service should increase, not decrease. That's why one of the what should I say, remedies is to give out the holy name to others. When you do that, then you get special mercy to detect the offense you're committing and rectify ourselves. When you make that extra endeavor to share the holy name, then we get much better understanding of our anarthas and our faults and our offenses. Imagine worshipping Lord Chaitanya, throwing hot coal on his body. It's so serious. I was hearing that yesterday and thought, this is so important. Every devotee, all of us should hear it and meditate on it. Like you were saying before, should think about the whole day. The title of the seminar is, Who Are You Offending? So yeah, so I was just trying to make some arrangements. I'll talk to the other leaders as well. And I think it's a very important part to take our devotion service to the next level. Otherwise we remain like this, we keep on doing something in the name of devotion service, who knows what's happening. Especially on the offense by devotees it says in that. But yeah, all of them are, all of Deva Aparadha is also there. If the offences go undetected without the remedy, see, every offence has a remedy. In Harinam Chintamani, Haridas Thakur gives the remedies for this. So we can apply the remedies. It's not that mistakes won't happen, but if we ignore the mistake and let it go on, then we are not making progress. But at the same time, the fear of offences shouldn't make us think better not to chant them. If by chanting I'm throwing hot coal on Lord Chaitanya, then better I don't chant. That is much better. But that is also not a solution either. We need to know. And out of fear of offences, sometimes we can't express ourselves. Become very close, no, better not say anything. If I say anything, I'll commit offence. So better I don't say anything. That's not going to work either. That's why we need good guidance. So for guidance, we need to have proper training. So I was thinking it would be good if we have some kind of session, Skype or something. It goes for 7 sessions. You can do it over 7 weeks. Even weekdays, one evening you can keep for Skype. So just for the 7 sessions, make a little extra effort. Now Janmashtami is over, we can afford to have some time. And let us meditate on these sessions and see how we are going and where we need to improve and make changes, and be honest about it. Question?
Prabhu, just a general question. Prabhu, we say in Kali Yuga, things will only get worse as we go forward, and we're just 5,000 years in Kali Yuga. But at the same time, we also say, Prabhu, that the Lord has descended in the form of His name. So And then, the Lord descends, Paritraya Sadhunam, Vinasha Chaturshkatam. So he comes to basically kill all the demons, and in this age, the demons are just in our heart. So then why will things deteriorate as we go further into Kali Yuga?
Yeah. The general tendency of Kali Yuga is to deteriorate. That's the general tendency. Because now Kali Yuga is standing on the last, in this age, we are standing on the last leg of religion. We are the last leg of Dharma. This is it. And that leg is also getting weaker and weaker and weaker. That's the general tendency of Kali Yuga. Our Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is reversing the tide, going the opposite direction. It's going against Kali Yuga. So while Kali Yuga is progressing, we also see that ISKCON is building more new temples, more people are becoming devotees, more people are chanting, more are getting initiated, and more devotees are going back to Godhead, become Krishna conscious. We see many devotees have left their bodies, they all went into Krishna, most of them went into Krishna consciousness, at least the ones we know about. You see, they all died in very Krishna conscious circumstances. And not only the devotee, their families also getting benefited. So this is reversing the tide of Kali Yuga. And especially this is the 10,000 years of the golden age. In this golden age, we definitely have Lord Chaitanya's mercy and Prabhupada's mercy. Because he is the founder Acharya of the golden age. He is going for 10,000 years. He started at 10,000 years. So now we are born in that period. So this is a very great opportunity. So we should not be reluctant to take the mercy. Otherwise, we should take it wholeheartedly, saying it doesn't get any better than this. This is the best you can do. So why wait for another moment? Another moment will be worse and it won't be better.
Well, I guess what I was wanting to know was, then why is it not enough to reverse the entire Kali Yuga? It's just for the devotees who take Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, as more and more devotees take up the process, it's going to happen. Every town village, yeah. As it spreads more and more, people are becoming more and more interested. So now so many students at university are coming, joining. Ganchampu was telling how new people are, young devotees, all Westerners, are joining the Krishna conscious movement. Because they don't see any hope in the university. It's a big bluff. Come here, get this degree, you'll get this, you'll get that. Nothing. Bhakti Charma is saying in France, 50% of the university graduates don't have a job. 50% unemployment. So you go there, spend so much money, do a course, at the end of it you don't have a job. What's the point in doing the course? Was it just went for fun or something? No point. It's total waste. That degree has got no value. And saying in the UK it's 20%. I don't know what the stats in Australia. But why go through this university education? At the end of it, you're not even going to get a job. What's the point of it all? In our younger days, it was very simple. You go join a uni, get a graduate, maybe postgraduate, and you have a job waiting for you. But not anymore. Our kids are going through tough times. So now these kids are saying, might as well join Krishna conscious movement. At least here you don't have the illusion of having a job, and at the same time you'll never be jobless. You've got plenty of engagement, you'll get well fed, and you'll have clothes to wear, a place to sleep. And, yeah. What more do you need? And you are giving the mercy to others, you can enjoy the bliss of the holy name. So why would you want to opt for this miserable life?
On that point, now the question is, so when the kids come into Krishna consciousness, the question that is asked is, how can they become engineers or doctors, or don't we need doctors or engineers?
There are always people who will become doctors, engineers. How many are becoming preachers? And if you want an engineer, doctor, what are you going to do with them? We can make a devotee a doctor, a doctor a devotee, then he'll be both devotee and doctor. If a child is showing inclination towards renunciation, then why push him into this line and make him miserable? See, not all souls are in the mode of ignorance. Our children that are born in Krishna conscious movement, they are not ordinary children. Prabhupada called them Vaikuntha children. So some of them are advanced devotees from past life. They don't need to go through this like birth and go to school, go to college, get educated, get a job, get hammered, get smashed, and then realize things. That is our story. Why they should go through that? If they are already advanced, we shouldn't hold them back. In fact, if they see us, they will want to become devotees. We don't want to be like them. I'd better become a devotee. Look what they did in their life. Miserable. So we had a taste of material nature. We suffered. Now we want to be more intelligent. So encourage that at the end of the day. Or if they have material desires, they want to pursue the desire, that's fine. But they have to be Krishna conscious. Because what hope is there in the material world? Tell me. This is hoping against hope, like mad.
So Krishna Prabhu wanted to know about can you repeat about the Skype and the offenses which you mentioned about? But I think I was away, so I couldn't.
Yeah, I was talking about a seminar on who are you offending. The 7-part seminar. I was saying that it would be nice for all the leaders if we could do that seminar over 7 weeks. Maybe we can even do it over Skype, because getting devotees together for 7 weeks in a row, though it would be very, very nice. Actually, it's a very good investment if we do it. All of us put aside 7 weeks and say, these 7 weeks I'm only going to do this course. It would be an awesome improvement in our consciousness. Especially those devotees who are preaching, I would strongly recommend they should do that, because you need to be, you, me, I, all of us, we need to be very strong spiritually. And I think that's and he gives very practical examples, case studies, the whole comprehensive discussion. So I think we should get together and hear that. And I'll talk to the other leaders as well to see if they're willing to cooperate. We can do it on Saturday morning, instead of Bhakti Shastri, put on hold for 7 weeks and just do that and come back to Bhakti Shastri afterwards. Or we do it on some other Wednesday night or something, have on Skype. I don't know how good the quality will be. But it'd be really good if we do that. I feel that you can do 1 or 2, they get an idea pretty much straight away. After doing 2 sessions, you come to know whether you want to continue or not. You feel that I already know all this, then I don't think so. I felt it was a big eye-opener for me. I had only 2 sessions and I thought this is so good. And he covers it. Yeah, he's available online. You can listen to it. But you see, when you discuss it as a group and how you're going to implement it here is what I'm concerned about. Because what happens when you listen on our own, we tend to do selective hearing. I'll take what I want to hear. And I don't know how to implement that also, how to apply it in my life. Whereas when we deal with each other every day, or every week we deal with each other, so we know where we're going wrong. I can tell you, you can tell me. And he talks about, fault finding, especially talks about fault finding. Very first one is about fault finding. It was so important. Because it says you have to find fault with yourself, not with others. First find fault. And generally if I find a fault in another person, it's usually my fault that I'm talking about. So think that some of the things you might have heard or might have known, but it's very important. And see where we're going wrong. Because unless we correct ourselves, we keep on going like this and hoping everything will be alright, it's like taking a big risk. So rather we focus on that.
Supplementary question, Prabhu, from Subhakrishna Prabhu, who is going to do it and how?
Yeah, we need to discuss the details, how we're going to do it. And I'm thinking that face-to-face would be really good.
He's more interested in Skype. He's interested in Skype.
Yeah, because I know we all are busy, we got so many things to do, everyone is so busy. But I was going to say that instead of the class, Bhakti Shastri, for 7 weeks we just do this. Just focus on this and get this done and then come back to Bhakti Shastri after that. So that way we can get the Bhagavatam study groups also to come, Bhakti Vaibhav also, they can also come and say let's do this for 7 weeks. And if we do it for 2 weeks, we come to know straight away, we see the effect of that. Then we can make a call after that. We want to do it on Skype or face to face. So anyway, next Saturday is Kids Janmashtami, so most people are involved in that. We won't be having class next Saturday. The following Saturday we can start if all the devotees are willing. I'll talk to the other group as well and see how they. Especially I want the leaders to come, make an attempt to attend this, and I think it'll be good 7 weeks. We'll get a very good idea. Because this is the biggest danger to our devotion service. So unless you guard against this, there will be serious problems. Not exam, but I would like to spend sufficient amount of time on that, such that we have realization of where we are going wrong. So each one of us at the end of the course, each one of us should be able to realize where we're going wrong and what action I'm going to take to improve myself. Each one should have personal realization on that. Yes, these are my action items, action plan for me. So each one of us should come with an action plan. I need to do this steps to get out of this situation. And it's not only younger devotees, even senior devotees can be committing serious offenses. It happens at all levels. So no one should think, I'm okay, I'm alright, I know what to do. No, it's not true. The bad news is it's not true. The good news is we have a solution. Is that okay? Huh? What date is the exam we put? 6th to 8th. We can postpone that. If this goes ahead, actually I can't put you in a contract like this, no? We will postpone the exam because next week anyhow it's Janmashtami, so we won't have enough time. Yes, we will change the date of the exam. And thank you. No, actually Janmashtami everyone is busy, I can tell you. I know everyone is working very hard, so we understand that it's going to be difficult. Or we can finish the exam and then go into the seminar. I will talk to the other devotees.
Yeah, because the more we communicate, the more we can understand.
Yes. Yeah. And so, yeah, we can discuss our own. Yeah.
Google Hangout is there, where we can have a video and speaking.
So many people, I think.
Yeah, but it's better face to face.
I think we can make a sacrifice of 7 weeks. Yeah, I'm not asking to come extra, Already there's a course. Those are not, some leaders are not coming to Bhakti Shastri, so they are going to Bhagwat class. That's why I'm insisting all leaders to attend some class somewhere, so that we get to see each other and we know how we're going. Otherwise, if you all go and preach independently and not have any connection, the leader should be first seen to study and learn. The leader says, I'm so good, I don't need to study, I only teach. That's very dangerous. Sooner or later one will have problems. And the devotees we create out of that situation will also have the same problem. Because I've got a disease, I'm going to give the same thing to them. So no one, that's why when sannyasis come, we should all come to the class and attend, not say temple is too far away. That's the lamest excuse I've heard. Most lame excuse. So when the senior Maharajas come all the way from India or America or somewhere, we should not think I'll hold my own class in parallel. That's not proper etiquette. We should make it, no, I should come here and I should learn. I have to learn as well. And I have to learn with others, not in my room locked up by myself. Because when you read, you see, we read selectively. When you hear, we hear selectively. That's a very big concern I have. And not that I'm trying to promote, say you should come to my classes, but we should have some class that we all are learning. Every one of us is learning. No exceptions. So let's make that happen. And I think that if we actually attend the seminar, I think it gives a very good insight. Right, please. Yeah, possibly you can have 1 or 2 sessions. Let's see the timing. Each session goes for 1 hour, but I am more interested in discussion we have after that. Where we are going to apply that knowledge, what did you understand from it, where are you going wrong. So when I'm listening to the seminar 1 hour, everyone must have a notebook and a pen. Because you're not, unless you've got super sharp memories. And write down the points where you feel, yes, this is where this applies to me, this applies to me, this applies to me, this is where I can improve. At the end of that 1 hour presentation, we're going to